over and then event
I
and
mean,
make it through.
I can block one.
Right, and then you don't have another unlock though, right? So that's where the problem lies. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, then I get you there.
Yeah. I think for me it's hard to get red cards in the right ratio.
Correct. I think that's a big part. That's just in general going to be a big part of 2P is that you like getting your cards to ratio out correctly is much harder than it seems like it should be.
Yeah.
And it definitely plays out to be that hard too.
I was thinking if 65 or 70 cards would be better.
I don't know because then you're still having ratio problems. Like so
Yeah, I
this
know.
is why I said though.
We
This is
both
hold
we
on.
both hit we
Th-
both hit 0 cards, and I hit 0 cards several times.
Right, but
But
this is where my argument for me playing Life in the City might be not as good, right? Because it allows the game to stretch on a little bit, it means we're still in the likely territory of decks ending. So it might actually be more so right that Life in the City isn't good for the format.
yeah,
That's where I think the argument lands. I want Life in the City to be in the format, but I recognize that like because what I don't want to have happen is it to have spiky luck points where it's just like, oh, your hand drew well, my hand drew the wrong proportions, and I just kind of lose because it start like you don't want the game to end up feeling a little too Magic the Gathering like, where it's very swingy
yeah,
based on your hand. But you also don't want a game that's like in a 2-player game where every game basically goes to empty deck.
yeah.
So
And I feel I would have gotten you in 1, maybe 2 games if you hadn't played Life in the City.
I mean, you got me in one game, even though I was playing Life in the City. You got me in game 2.
Yeah, but still, like, for example, Kasim was close to being topped.
Yes, but again, if those would have been combat cards if they weren't Life in the City. They would have been more steel. They would have been more additional strikes. So I
Yeah,
think I would have
fine.
outclassed you in combat.
Yeah, sure.
But what Life in the City does is it gives me an alternative that allows me to be better against other decks that like can't do combat.
Yeah, but what was the first game?
First game was me playing the Salubri. I think that Salubri deck is just solid, even if I lost
Like,
Life in the City.
I mean, I think Prevent is very strong in the format as well.
It is. I would argue that Soak is probably too strong. In a format without aggravated damage, Soak is probably the wrong card.
There is egg damage.
Yeah, but there's so little ag damage, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
Like either Skin of Rock would need to be the card that is in the format instead, or the other one that I'm not remembering the name of. Hold on, let me pull it up. The one that's either 1 against any, 2 versus non. Why this never Resilience. But Resilience isn't V5 legal right now.
Which one? Martyr's Resilience?
No, just Resilience. Because like the aggravated damage in the current format right now, are 3 cards, and one of them is 2 cards, and one of them is entirely unplayable.
Yeah, but I like my problem is that Prevent is cheap. Like, I feel it should cost 1. Like,
Sure, you can do that, but then all you're doing is making dodge more powerful. Like, this is a rock, paper, scissors game when it comes to combat. And anytime you reduce the power of one thing, you're just going to up the power of something else. So now suddenly dodge is a much better card. which now makes it so we have to think about whether or not we have to potentially change our minds on whether or not Dust Up is an acceptable card, because now Dust Up is the most powerful card in the format. And then if we decide that Dust Up's too strong, then we shift the format, and now just Potence actually is the most powerful thing in the format, because now it just punches for a lot, and you can't really dodge in an effective way that still gets you damage. So it's just a waiting game.
If you can prevent and add blood without taking any action, then there's something.
Sure, you have a good argument to make there. That is the real special sauce. Is that because I have access to good prevention like Soak, and because I also have Life in the City, that is potentially marginally enough. The question is like looking at the master pool. So let's double check. Let's look at the master pool again.
Yeah.
There isn't another way to gain blood other than Life in the City in terms of masters, and then that just leaves Fortitude as having bad cards.
Meaning.
No, it has bad cards.
No, Fortitude has Restoration.
I'm not going to ever succeed at a Restoration with the current clans that have Fortitude except Gangrel. The only clan that benefits from that is Gangrel. And Gangrel are also, if I'm not mistaken, still pretty, have their wings pretty well clipped. Because they have like expensive, semi-expensive or hard to play stealth.
Ag. Yeah.
And yeah, their Ag is one card that's relevant. Like it's a Restoration is a just plain bad card. And I think that's another part of the problem. This is a very, very delicate balancing act. And I don't disagree with you. Life in the City is on the line of being like not acceptable. But also without Life in the City, the strategy sort of like leans towards certain strategies just being too powerful. And it's everything, because VTES is a game where like one is okay and 2 is too much. Like, and 3 is way too much. This balancing act just multiplies quickly.
Yeah, but I think I would rather try, like, see how Life in the City is, like how the format is without Life in the City, or play games where we don't use Life in the City, and see if we can end a game in time, like before a library is empty.
Sure. Then I can rebuild some of these decks without Life in the City. I will 100% build Gangrel, so we can showcase that like without Life in the City, Gangrel will probably dominate.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree, but we can.
They have Bearskin, which is a real big problem. Bearskin literally says, "I win combat."
Didn't they remove Bearskin?
No, Bearskin is still there. I'll go back to the main thing. I'll double check the list again, but I'm going off of the filtered list that was created by whatchamacallit.
I mean, Bearskin is very strong.
In all honesty, Bearskin is probably too strong.
Yes.
So
let's remove Bearskin.
See, but this is what I'm talking about. Like, what we're gonna do is just keep peeling away cards until there isn't a format.
Yeah, but
we haven't even played with Bearskin, so we should prove that Bearskin is what Bearskin is. But I will build other decks without Life in the City. And I think what we'll find is that like we're gonna need to eliminate more cards. I don't think Life in the City is necessarily the problem in a way, but I also think it is a problem in a way. But I think honestly the bigger problem is actually just that Soak exists.
Okay, so let's get rid of Soak.
I think that's the better card to experiment with, because if we look at that Tremere deck, well, you can say that Life in the City was the problem there. Life in the City really wasn't, or not the Tremere deck, the the Banu Hakim deck.
Yeah.
Hunger or Rigo Modem is a far worse card, right? Because Rigo Modem doesn't do as much because it only prevents strikes, which means your Carrion Crows are really good still. And that's honestly why I think you were pretty close at times to ending up ultimately getting me.
Yeah.
Whereas if Rigo Modem was Soak, you would have never done a single point of damage to me and I would have been regaining. So I think Soak is actually the bigger problem to look at, because if I do that, when I look at Fortitude, my options are Rolling with the Punches, the end. And Rolling with the Punches is a much more balanced overall card because I still have to lose something for my prevention. And we proved Diversion isn't quite a good enough card because playing the Bruja deck, it was very clear that like only preventing 2 is not nearly as good as preventing 4 because you need so many more cards.
Yeah. Is Rolling with the Punches in the format?
Rolling with the Punches is in the format. It is the only other prevent card that does not have a requirement attached to it.
I think Rolling with the Punches would be the way to go.
Yeah, so we can try a couple of different iterations with this. I am fine to try both No Life in the City and no Soak. But I want to try them both as combined things and as separate things. But to do that, we need to be able to test a lot more than just against the Nosferatu deck. Because some of what you're saying is coming from a perception of, I played Carrion Crows, it should have won combat. Why didn't it win combat? It must have been Life in the City.
No. I just said it's if you want to do combat, if you have 2 combat decks, and one is simply cancelled by prevent and life gain or blood gain, then combat isn't working. We're talking about combat, not about Malkavians not working or something.
Sure, but you face down decks. So when I built these decks, keep in mind I built around the same concept each way. They are all designed to be decks that build around the idea that this is an attrition-based format. Everything I'm doing is basically just managing blood on my vampires and managing my own pool. Go ahead.
No, go.
No, the reason that I ran out most of the time I was up on cards from you, except when I was in the case of the combat decks where I was burning through more cards. But if I'm doing my proper resource management, then I'm gonna end up with this. But I think that no matter what you run into, combat is required, and some percentage of your deck has to be combat.
And because of that, I would say you should have a way for combat to matter. Like, I mean, I couldn't do a blocky deck with just Swallowed by the Night. I just say, if you want to do combat, if combat is as prominent in the format as it is right now, which is fine, in my opinion, then you need to have meaningful interactions and not cancel out.
I mean, it's
like,
go ahead, sorry.
And not have Soak plus 1. Like, if I had played Marks or any other deck, like,
you would lose to anything that can do combat. Anything that can do combat.
I would lose to anything which would get me into combat.
Right, which is anything with a rush.
Yeah.
And then you just how do you survive, right? Because now you don't have any cards that keep you in the game.
I could play a lot of Swallowed by the Night.
Right, but your opponent is also expecting you to maneuver. So you'd have to play like dozens, and that means you're limited to only guys with Superior Obfuscate that you can play in your deck. Superior Obfuscate overall has 3 Malks that have it, and they all cost 8 or more. In general, there are only only 13 vampires with Superior Obfuscate.
Yeah, but I mean, the point is, in my opinion, that a game shouldn't regularly come close to 0 cards in the deck.
Okay, so I that's the question that I have here comes down to again, like whether we want a swingy game or whether we want a stabilized game. And if it's a stabilized game, if it's a balanced game, then it will probably be more likely to come down to no cards in deck.
What's swingy to you? I mean,
swingy is I'm playing a deck.
Were any of the games today swingy to you?
No, but I was playing decks that all had answers that were all decks that knew combat was going to be a thing and had the ability to do something in combat. If I played something like, for example, Obfuscate, Presence, Bleed, or I played something like Malkav, Bleed, I would have lost to your deck 70 to 80% of the time, unless you 100% didn't draw any of your protected districts or intercept or whatever. And I would have had, and if you chose not to block, I would have drowned in stealth cards almost immediately. Because I needed stealth has to be my counter to your combat. Then you rush me. What am I going to do? Maybe I walking stick. Maybe I try to dodge with oops, I'm in the wrong category. I don't even think the card is there for presence. Yeah, I don't try to dodge with presence. I don't try to dodge with obfuscate. So I just try to maneuver, but you've got the same maneuvers that you're playing as well. And you're also playing with cards where maneuvers don't matter. So I just lose. Life in the City is one of my only ways to pull blood back for myself. But overall,
I mean, you've convinced me the problem is Soak.
I mean, yeah, I think Soak is part of the problem. I don't know what to do about the Bleed problem, right? The Bleed deck problem is a whole different conversation. I don't know what you're supposed to do with Stealth Bleed. It feels bad in this format. Unless you're trying to do like maybe Banu Hakim Sneaky Stealth Bleed, or you're trying I think actually the Nosferatu Stealth Bleed strategy is relevant. No, probably not even that. I don't know what you're supposed to do about Stealth Bleed. I don't know what you're supposed to do about, like, if we want to have the archetypes there, it feels like Stealth Bleed needs something to fill the distance. I'm on a different topic now, but
yeah. You could do Obedience.
No, you can't. Obedience is not legal.
Yeah, it's not legal. It's not V5 yet, but
and Obedience is not an answer to getting caught, but
it is an answer to getting rushed.
It's also the equivalent of a Combat Ends, so it would not be legal.
Is it equivalent to Combat Ends?
It is better, in fact, than Combat Ends.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's fine-tuning we're talking about.
I would agree, but this is what a lot of what we're doing right now is going to be, is fine-tuning.
Yeah.
I still think that there were games that I think went really good, even with me having Life in the City. Like, I lost with the Bruges deck, but I still feel like it was good. The Banu Hakim deck I felt like was very close in the end. It literally just came down to how the cards drew up. that Tremere game was what the fuck. Like, but that's the deck. I don't know what Tremere without Fortitude are supposed to do, and even with Fortitude, I don't know what they're. I mean, I could probably play around with the numbers on this, but
you could Rigor Mortem.
Yeah, Regal Mortem is bad.
Why?
It costs a blood to
Yes.
prevent damage from a strike, which makes it the most narrow damage prevention card.
Yeah, but we agreed we don't want to have damage prevention, which is not limited to strike.
No, I did not agree to that. My argument for soak is not that. So you can use rolling with the punches to prevent crows. You just have to use more than one rolling with the punches to prevent crows at inferior. My issue is that soak is too much prevention.
Yes.
But but I'm saying, like, looking at the Tremere deck that I built, soak wasn't enough. So when we get to like the composition mattering, it matters.
You still won, though.
I didn't think I won the Tremere one. I thought I lost the Tremere one. I didn't remember which one I lost.
Oh, you lost the Tremere.
It was either the Tremere or the Bruges. I know it was one of those two. I know the Salubri one.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, what's also nice is that we've played 4 games in a time where we would have played maybe one and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but again, it feels different, right? I had McDonald's.
Yeah, but it's okay that you had McDonald's. I mean, I think that's a good comparison, actually.
Yeah.
And it shows it's okay to eat McDonald's once in a while.
Careful now. Anybody in the future who really is going to want to, who's really going to want to like this format, is not going to be okay with us saying that this is just McDonald's.
Don't stream anyways.
I am on the stream. I moved it back over, even though I missed half of it. But yeah, nobody's watching the stream, and this part will probably not be converted.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's okay. It feels lighter and more shallow, I suppose, because it is lighter,
yeah,
and shallow, but it is okay. It's something you can consume. It's something you can make first baby steps. It's something where you can learn the ropes. Like, if you can do combat in the way we did, you can learn press and combat ends. Like, additionally, it's not hard to add those dynamics because you get how stuff will work. And of course, you need to learn table talk and stuff, but this is either a challenge you want to do or you're fine doing 2-player. So, I think we're they're not in the wrong spot. Definitely.
No, I think it's progress in the right general direction.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, was very nice. playing with you,
It was.
eating McDonald's.
uh,
Why don't you like it? It's a very American thing to do.
I don't particularly like it because one of the things that has been a priority for me in life right now is to like I have done a lot of I wouldn't even call it eating McDonald's. I would actually refer to this as like eating Chipotle, or like eating. I don't know. I've been. This is why I use the Hershey Kiss example as opposed because like a Hershey's Kiss is something that just makes some of the feeling go away for long enough when you want chocolate. Like it it doesn't feel like it's as good as what I want, so I'm just filling my time with something empty and meaningless, right? Like right now it has at least more merit because when we're playing this, the substance is that we're doing this as part of experimenting with this new format idea.
Yeah. And, I think it's more inviting, for example, for me to try out different clans. Because if I'm in a 5-player game, like, I do want to be able to play. So I stick with what I know I can play for a long time, which is either Malkavian or Nosferatu, the decks I play. So you get more kind of a laboratory in hand. Like, I think the decks which work in 2-player might likely work with some adjustments in 5-player as well.
Yeah, possibly.
Like, not like exactly, but you can see if the core of a deck is working, or if you need to just tune still. So I think the format is a good addition if it gets a bit more refined. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I fundamentally agree ultimately. So,
this has been worth it. Like 4 hours of talking, and I got you to agree.
well, I'm not going
All
to
right.
disagree that the format is like good for VTES because again, what's one of the biggest things I've said multiple times about this game? It's really hard to teach to new players because
Yep.
there's a lot of information overload that happens when you first try to teach them a multiplayer game. And it's really hard to sit down with another player solo and teach them the game because I'm playing two decks that don't oppose each other well. And I have to figure out like what rules I have to do to make them oppose each other well. And what if they don't like the clan that they're playing or the way the other deck they're playing feels?
Yep.
I suddenly have to like teach them something else, but that may not at all work in 1v1. This is why the stealth bleed thing means so much to me is if stealth bleed doesn't feel good in 1v1, then I can't like realize that I have a stealth bleed player in my hand and hand them a deck that is stealth bleed that's going to feel good to play because it could just get raffle stomped by any deck that has the ability to rush it in combat or yeah.
I mean, how's the Malkavian deck looking?
I don't think it looks good in this. I really don't. It does not have a way to survive combat.
It does have weighted walking stick.
Right?
It does
Stick is bad when you're not like when you don't have fortitude.
Let's ban stick.
No. Stick is fine as a card. Stick is just not enough to win combat when you have no prevent. I'm just making sure. But like Obfuscate Presence doesn't have much of a shot, except that like Presence is not, unless you include the protein, because one of the things that was said to me yesterday, or one of the things that was said to me in the 2-player thread was valid. Why am I not just playing Ministry? And it came down to like I was trying to keep the deck curve low to the ground enough. But Protean is where like a lot of your cards are that you're going to need to not just like have combat be terrible for you.
Yeah, I mean, which card would need to be added? Like thinking outside of V5 right now.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the problem. Like Auspex doesn't exactly have a lot of great cards for like dodge or combat, right? Auspex's combat cards are weird. Well, like Read Intentions is too expensive. Eyes of Blades is bad, and that's not even Auspex alone. And then you're done. Like there's just so Auspex doesn't have it. Dominate doesn't have it.
No, you could have Behind You.
Behind You is bad.
No, it is not. It's not bad in 1v1.
So I don't know. I
see what I mean.
I don't know. I don't feel like it's I mean, I think it's a reasonable argument to have, but
and Auspex
shit.
Has Prevent.
No, it does not actually have Prevent.
It does have Prevent.
Are you talking about cards that also have other disciplines attached?
Precognition.
Oh god, that's so I have to block to get Prevent. I have in a format where most things are not doing things at stealth, I have to get Intercept, which I don't need most of the time, so that I can prevent damage.
Well, you could get Bleed out of this as well.
I can't get Bleed out of this.
Yeah, sure.
It's a reaction.
You can. I mean, I don't think you can have a refined deck for anything. All is toolboxy.
No, I'm not saying everything needs to be toolboxy. I'm saying that decks need to be able to.
I say decks need to be toolboxy because Melange.
Then you're not showing people Vitas. You're showing people like toolbox Vitas, which is an entirely different game in and of itself.
No, I don't agree. Just because you showcase all mechanics.
Toolbox doesn't showcase all mechanics. It does not showcase Stealth Bleed.
It shows Bleed. It shows combat.
It shows that Bleed is largely an irrelevant concept.
No, it doesn't. But we can talk about...
when was Bleed relevant until both of us were basically dead?
Well,
Bleed was just an action that you would get in the way of, or that I would get in the way of.
Yeah, but you hadn't a lot of stealth.
I didn't really have a lot of stealth, and you had to play intercept cards, and so like when I had stealth cards, you had intercept cards for it, because everybody's a toolbox. If everybody is forced to be a toolbox, the game just becomes the same decks playing against each other with differently labeled cards, and whichever deck has the better cards wins.
Don't be so pessimistic.
No, this is an analyst perspective. If there's only one format of deck,
No,
if
but
Magic the Gathering is only one deck that ever plays against each other, it's all
I-
mid-range decks. It's not a game.
I don't agree. But we can play more games. Just, I mean, today we tried combat and found prevention soak might be a problem, which is good. And next time we'll try stealth bleed.
I didn't want to play Stealth Bleed against Nosferatu. That seems terrible. That seems like I'm just going to auto lose. You're going to rush me, and then I'm going to die.
We'll
'Cause
see.
all I
how it
have is stick. All I have is stick. And
You can
all
have
you have
behind
is
you.
punch for 3, crows me for 2. Or punch for 4, crows me for 2.
In this sense.
And try to
Well-
maneuver away. Oh, wait, I maneuver right back.
Steve. Steffi came home.
Okay.
So,
All right. Have a good night.
yeah.
Bye.
We'll discuss another time.
Yep. Bye.